Hello and welcome to this new tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to set up condition in the Jenkins file. What are condition in the Jenkins file? For example, the Jenkins file, we actually add condition to decide when the stage will run or not, right? We put conditions so that we can tell Jenkins to either run or not run, for example, a stage, right? Those conditions are very important because we don't always want to run all the stages, right? We don't always want to run all the stage. So sometimes we put like some constraint there, some condition there, just to tell Jenkins that, hey, I want you to run this stage under certain circumstances. So, right, we are going to go ahead and demonstrate, and it will make more sense. Please go ahead, like the video and subscribe. If you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe so that you don't have to miss any of our video. Let's jump into the Jenkins console and let's make the magic happen. So here is the Jenkins console. The first thing that I'm going to do, for example, I will go ahead and generate a simple Jenkins job. Then after generating a simple Jenkins job parameter, for example, I'm going to add some parameters, and then we are going to use those parameters for our condition. So let's go ahead and create a new job here. Let's call that conditions. I'm just going to use this to get a simple job, right? It's a simple Jenkins job. That's the Jenkins, what is called Jenkins pipeline. So let's go on VS Code. Let's create a new page on VS Code and let's paste this. This is Groovy. If it doesn't change, I will go ahead here and select the language Groovy. This is Groovy here. Now, everything is set to Groovy. As you guys can see, we have one stage here, and then we have the main pipeline here. So I like to push this down, right? So that I make things neat and easy to understand. I have stages here, it close here, so that I can come here and push some. Then I have here, for example, two stage. I can make another stage and be mindful that two stage cannot have the same name. So let's call this one here build. I will make three stage, build, test, and deploy. Let's say here test, and let's go ahead and get this to deploy. So we have build, test, deploy. If I go ahead and run this right now, for example, let's go ahead and run this right now. So I will go to the Jenkins file here. Then let's get a new, put it on a new Jenkins file so that it all makes sense. I can pick this one, I'll go down here, then I will delete everything that we have here, then paste a new one. So that's a simple job that we actually ran. Good. Let's pick the HTTPS of that. Let's go to Jenkins, change this one to source code management. Then let's take Git here. Let's apply this to Jenkins, and our branch is default. Apply save, then we can build. Something happened, it didn't work, so we may have done a mistake somewhere else. Default, return, couldn't find remote head default, right? Did we put default or develop? Right? Let's see. Did we put default or develop? Oh, we put here default by default, so by mistake. So let's say develop. That's the branch. We apply our save, then we are going to build. This time around, it's going to work. As you can see, it went ahead and created the three stages: build, test, deploy. And if I run this job a couple of times, it will go ahead and actually run all the stage. What if at some point I don't want to run the build stage? What if at some point I don't want to run the test stage? What if at some point I don't want to run the deploy stage? Can I control which stage Jenkins can run? Yes, you can do that, and you use when condition to go ahead and do that, right? You can do that, and you use when condition to go ahead, for example, and do that. So right now here, everything is successful. So now let's go back to Jenkins. Let's generate, for example, let's go back to Jenkins. Let's generate for example, what we call the parameters, right? And then you use those parameters to take decision, right? So I will go back to Jenkins here. So if you take this pipeline syntax, I can generate it quickly here with the pipeline syntax, for example. Now we come down here on the declarative because I'm using a declarative pipeline. I come here and pick for parameters. You open this parameter for me. So first of all, let's add, for example, let's add, for example, a choice parameter, right? We are going to add a choice parameter here. So let's call this one here environment. Let's say we are going to call this one environment. So get it? Let's call this one environment, right? And we are going to say, let's say the dev. We will say the dev. We say, for example, QA. We say, for example, security. We say, for example, the DevOps environment. Then we say, for example, production, right? We can even say pre-production. Let's say pre-prod. There we say here prod for production. So basically, at runtime, we have to choose one of these. I don't know if you're familiar with the parameters. If you're not familiar with the Jenkins parameters, you can go ahead and watch my video on the Jenkins parameters. So we can provide this, and we can just say here select, right? Select an environment. Make a simple select an environment, and we can go ahead and add another parameter, right? This time around, let's make it like a string parameter, right? Let's go with string parameter. I can call it here name, right? I put it here name. Then I give it a default. We can set a default. Let's say, for example, the default name here is let's say, for example, name. Let's say the default name here is Docker, for example, right? Or maybe let's say Canary, right? Canary, for example. So we come here, we say name Canary, or we can change this one to, for example, app underscore name, or let's just call it name, or we can say app, yeah, right? Let's say app, right? Say the default name is Canary, then we'll say enter the application name, for example, right? We can keep those, then let's go ahead probably and create another choice parameter, right? Let's go ahead and create another choice parameter. They won't let us do it. Let's generate this one first, right? We went ahead and generated two parameters, so I can take it here. I will put it on the second sheet so that I will rearrange it. We have here the choice parameter. So we have all the choices here. So at the end of this, you can push it here. The description, also at the end of this, you can push it here. So I can actually move this comma here. Then I can remove this here. I want to move the name on top, right? So that we have it name on top. So I like it this way because it makes more sense and easy to read. The same thing here for the string parameter, right? We're going to hear the description, for example, for the string parameter here, the string value, we have here canary. We can push the description down here, right? And then we can come down here and push the name down here exactly. So I put name here. So name here app. So let's use capital letter. For example, no, not capital letter. So let's keep it name because this is coming from. I thought that was a name that I set up earlier, right? That's the description. So I will go ahead again and move that comma here. Then I'm going to cut this here and add it on top here. String, right? So you need this comma because it works like it works like JSON. So I have those two parameters actually set up here. I can pick up these two parameters. I will go ahead and add them right here, right? This is where it goes. There's also a way to put this as a stage if you want. So I have it here. So I can go ahead and update. Go back into Jenkins file. Then I can update this. The new one. Let's go ahead and run this. Once we run this, it's going to give us a build with parameters. If I refresh, it will become build with parameters. As you guys can see, it now populated the two parameters for us. So let's go ahead and add another parameter. For example, let's go ahead and add another parameter. I will come down here and actually generate another parameter. So I will remove the string parameter and probably add another choice parameter, which this time around, for example, I will call it, for example, registry. Let's say, for example, registry, right? This time around, I will call it, for example, registry, right? Then I can come down here. I will say ECR. I will say Docker herb, for example. Then I will say Nexus, right? Put this to registry, ECR. Then I will say select the registry. Select a registry where you want to push your image. Select the registry where you want to push your image. Then we can go ahead and generate this. It's going to give us another choice parameter. I don't need to take this parameter because I already have it. So what I'm going to do, I will just have to copy this line here, right? Copy this line here. I can come down here and I have to constrain it in between this. So we can go ahead and add this one, which is going to be another choice, right? The description. We go at the bottom of the description, then we have the name here. I will go ahead and cut the name here. Cut it here. Come down here, put it here, put a comma, remove the comma that we have here. So we have this choice here, the third one. I just added this block. So let's go back. We'll go ahead and update this file one more time. And we can build. Fresh, give it a second, go back to view. As you can see, I have another choice here called registry. Now, I want to emphasize that the environment here, for example, environment in this choice here is actually the key, and we are going to store one of this value at runtime. Up here is a key where we are going to store one, we're going to store enter like the value at runtime. If you don't enter the value, it will take canary as the default value, right? If we don't take any value, we take canary as a default value. For example, the same goes for registry. If we pick one of these as the registry. Now, to build, for example, right? To build. Now, if you want to go ahead and put condition, okay? If you want to go ahead and put use condition, for example. Now, I want to decide that like the build stage, right? If I want only the build stage to run, only if, right? If I want a build stage, for example, to run, only if the application name is, let's say the application name, for example, is Odilia, right? If I want that to run only if the application name is Odilia, I will go ahead here and put the when condition. It's simple. You come down here just inside the stage here, right? Inside the stage here, you're going to say when, right? Say when, double curly bracket. You go in here and you say expression, right? And you open curly bracket again, right? You say when, double curly bracket, you say expression, and you also call double curly bracket again. It is actually pretty simple here. I think I have it here. If we go to the code block, for example, I have it everywhere. You say when, then you say when, then you put the expression, then you are going to pass this. Now, what we are going to do is that now we need to pass the condition. To pass the condition, you say environment first dot, right? You need to pass that. You need to say environment first dot. Then you call the key, right? If I want the application, I will say app, right? Environment dot app. So this is Jenkins knows this. you pass what you want here, you say equal, you pass double equal, right? If I want that to be equal, you say equal, then a quote. I want that to be equal if they is equal to like Odilia, right? Now, equal Odilia here. So now, for example, it means that Jenkins will only run this stage if this value is equal to Odilia. So let's go ahead and test this. That's all you need for the condition. Let's go ahead and go back here and actually enter this here. Let me go ahead and refresh and build. Build parameters, build now. As you guys can see, what happened here is that it skipped, right? Jenkins skipped the build stage. That's why it's white here. If I click here, go to the console output, you will see that it says the build stage here was skipped due to conditional. Why? Because on the condition, what I said is that this is by default is canary, but we said we want that this stage can only run when the expression match Odilia, right? This is the key, and you're expecting a value Odilia. If it doesn't receive the value Odilia, it will go ahead and fail. Now, let's test this by putting the correct value. If I come down here and put Odilia instead, then I build. Let's see what's going to happen. Now everything passed, right? Now everything passed. That's how you constrain Jenkins to like run a stage based on certain condition, for example, right? You constrain Jenkins to run the stage based on certain condition, right? I can come down here again, for example, for the test, I can create a condition here. It is easy. You say when, you open the bracket, you go down, you say expression, right? Expression. Here, you open the bracket, you also go down, then you say environment dot. You pass the value of what you are trying to say, right? Let's say I want this stage to run if registry, I want the stage to run if registry is this. It has to be one of these, right? I will say if registry is Nexus, for example. So I want this to run if the registry is equal, for example, to Nexus. So quote, then I will type Nexus here. So I can copy this. We go back and supply this here. Let's change this. Then push. Then let's come down here and build. Let's see what's going to happen. By default here, and one thing that you need to know is that on the choice parameter, the default is the first one, right? On the choice parameter, the default is the first. On the choice parameter, the default is the first choice, right? The default is the first choice. Like you see here, dev and ACI will be the first choice. Dev and ACI here. So let's build and see what's going to happen. It should skip. Jenkins is going to skip that. As you guys can see, Jenkins went ahead and skipped that also, right? This was skipped. This gets skipped. Why? Also because we said Odilia, but by default, because we didn't change that value, you can see here, if I go here, if I take this build, for example, and go to parameters, you will see that these are the parameters that were used. The dev was used, canary was used because canary was used, and that was actually expecting Odilia. He went ahead and skipped it. And also it skipped this one, the registry, because we said that the default value is Nexus, not default value, right? We said that the registry should match Nexus, and Jenkins went ahead and skipped it as well. If we go to the console output, you will see that Jenkins actually tell us that, hey, the condition didn't match. I went ahead and I basically skipped that. Now, if we go back and run it one more time, for example, only one more time, if we change this to Odilia, for example, and change this one to Nexus, now all stages are going to run. So that's how you dictate, right? That's how you dictate if something have to run or not, right? That's how you dictate. As you use here, for example, you said here registry equal. You can also say registry not equal, right? If I come down here, for example, let's put this one to canary, right? Let's go ahead and put this one to canary, for example. If I say, hey, I want you to run when this is not equal, right? I can change this one from equal also to not equal, right? Expression app should not be equal to canary, meaning that if it's equal to canary, it's going to fail. But if it's equal to something else, it's not going to fail. For example, let's test this, right? Let's go ahead and test this. So I can copy this, the change that I just made, come down here, I'll change this one. Then let's apply. Now, if we run, let's go ahead and run. And we said not equal canary, it's going to skip the build, right? So let's go ahead and run. As you guys can see, it skipped the build. It also skipped the test. Why? It also skipped the test because we said Nexus, but the default is not Nexus, right? As you guys, we all know, the default is not Nexus, right? If I come down here, for example, and say ECR, or I leave it, just leave it the way it is. If I come down here and try to run this here, I said Canary, then I change this one to Nexus, it's going to run. It will skip build, but it will run test and deploy. So let's test. That change it, test and skip build, test and deploy. Let's see what parameter that we put there. Here we said ECR, sorry. It kept it at ECR, right? So need to change this one to Nexus, right? Make sure that it's Nexus, then we build. Everything went well, the build went ahead and passed, and it actually skipped build only, right? So how you can use equal, not equal. Now, if I come down here and change this one also to not equal, the Nexus stage will run, meaning that when I say not equal Nexus, meaning that anything that is not Nexus is going to actually pass, right? Anything that is not Nexus is going to actually pass, and anything that's not Canary also is going to actually pass because I still have that negation on Canary. So let's go ahead and run this time around and see what's going to happen. So everything should be good. The default here is ECR. So the build Canary, let me see, it skipped the build. So that is due to the condition that is still there. We check the parameters. Yes, on the build, we said app Canary, right? So on the code, I copy this code. We said app environment or app not equal Canary, right? So now let's see the condition. Let's study another condition, right? So let's go ahead and revert this one to equal. Now, what if we want to combine, right? What if we want to combine, right? Let's say, for example, what if I want to combine, right? You can use and or you can use or. I can come here, for example, and combine this. I can say when expression this or put or, then that's how you say or. So this will run if one of these conditions is met, either the app equal Canary or this equal, for example, let's say Ansible, right? It will run. It is one of these conditions is going to run. So it is either Canary or Ansible, but it has to be one of these, right? It has to be either Canary or Ansible. So let's see. Let's come down here. Let's refresh. Let's give him another build. So I kept it here at Canary. Right? It's going to work, right? For the build, we are tracking the build. We kept it here at Canary. We are tracking the build. It's going to work. The test skip because we are still having Nexus here, right? The test skip because we are still having Nexus here, right? So let's go back and put it back, for example, to ECR so that we don't have that problem anymore. So let me revert it to ECR. I'm saying ECR because ECR is actually the default that we have there. So, but our test passed because our focus was actually on the build stage, right? our test passed because our focus was actually on the build stage. So I reverted this to ECR. Let's go ahead and give it another build. So right now it's going to be happy. Now everything passed. Now the build test passed because on the build we said canary, it has to be either canary or Ansible, right? Now let's check this. Let's go ahead and change this. If I change this, for example, instead of canary and Ansible, I say Apple, for example. Let's change this to Apple, right? Let's say Apple. Normally, Apple is not, when I say, this expression says it has to be either canary or Ansible. What if I put Apple? Let's see what will happen here. At runtime, I go ahead and add Apple, for example. Let me pass Apple. Escape, of course, because Apple is neither canary nor Ansible, right? You can put this or condition it skip because Apple is neither canary nor Ansible, right? That's why. Now, you can also use a negation here. I can come down here and say when registry equal, not negation, the and condition, or you can say and, right? You can put and this, right? And for example, let's use the choice environment. When the registry is equal ECR and the environment, for example, is equal dev, for example, let's say dev, okay? We're saying that, hey, the test stage have to run, or the test stage must run only if the registry is ECR and the environment is dev. So let's go ahead and test this condition. You read? Good. Everything passed. Everything passed. Why? Because if I look at the parameters, of course, the environment is dev and the registry is ECR and, right? Both conditions were met. Both conditions were actually met, right? But what if I come down here and change one of the environment? Let's see. I'm going to say run. I will pick an environment here to be prod. Let's see prod. It doesn't match no more, right? It doesn't match no more. So let's see what's going to happen. As we can see, that was skipped, right? As you can see, the test was skipped because I chose here prod. Both conditions need to be met because we said add. Here, only one condition need to be met. So we have covered here the equal, right? We have covered here the non-equal, and we have covered here the and the or, right? Those are just simple conditions, right, guys? So that's it for the video. I hope you like it. That's how you manage condition in Jenkins. It's super simple. Once you have your parameters set, right? If you know how Jenkins parameter work, it will be easy for you to go ahead and study condition in Jenkins. I will advise you first to go ahead and study how Jenkins parameter work. If you understand how Jenkins parameter work, you can now go ahead and study and get along with actually the Jenkins conditions, and it's simple, right? It is very simple. So we start with when, then after inside when we put expression, and then after inside expression we always say environment dot, and then we pass the key here, right? And this key are being defined here in the parameter section, right? We pass the key here equal. You can also use the environment, right? I can define an environment here like that and also use that, right? But this, for example, this must exist before we get to this stage. It was a pleasure having you guys. See you guys on the next video. If you like the video, go ahead and like it, and also go ahead and subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And see you guys on the next video. I hope you like it.